Hello again for a new episode. So, Chase the Traveler back in the house. It's a little windy, so I might not be able to talk as freely as I want to talk. But here we go. So, today, we're going to talk about living in a Japanese apartment. The difficulties of living in a Japanese apartment. The challenges of living in a Japanese apartment. Now, of course, you might not think that there are any issues with living in a Japanese apartment. And for the most part, there aren't any issues. But there are certain little things that can frustrate you, irritate you, make you go nuts. But to tell you the truth, Japanese people are really used to these things, so talking to them about it isn't really going to get you anywhere because they think it's normal. But if you come from a society, for example, where you lived in the West, you might have a little bit of a problem living in a Japanese house. Now, I know you've seen some foreigners out there. Oh, well, I got this house, blah, blah, blah. It's got 3 rooms, 5 rooms, whatever. All right, yeah. I'm not disputing what they told you. But there are a couple things they probably didn't tell you. Now, you, I'm sure, know that Japanese houses are not as big as what you would normally expect. And that's definitely true. And you know that, so I don't have to tell you that. But the problem is, all right, now there are a few things. I'm going to start with one and then go chronologically. All right, number 1, the air conditioning. Now, every Japanese room, or normal one, not every single one of them, like a normal Japanese apartment, okay? Let's say you have a 1DK, which is basically one room, D stands for dining room, K stands for kitchen. You have a 1DK. So you basically have one room with a kitchen, okay? Now, every room has a separate air conditioner. Well, if you can afford it, of course. Some people don't have that. So now, this is the problem. During the winter, you are going to freeze to death. If you have to go to the bathroom at night, you have to open up the room that you're in, that nice heated room that you're in. Go into the next room. To go into the bathroom, which of course the bathroom is never heated. If you're not used to that, it's frustrating. So, and vice versa. You wake up in the morning. You're going from your room to the kitchen. Now you got to turn on the heat in the kitchen. You got to wait another 5-10 minutes for it to heat up again. Now, if you were back in the States, or I don't know about Europe, but you would have central heating, the room temperature in every part of the house would be the same. So, therefore, you would have none of those issues. It's the wind, that's why I'm not talking. But over here, you have to basically heat up every room. And like I said, in the morning when you have to get in the shower, you got to get in the shower. That room was definitely not heated. So until that hot water comes up, you're stepping into like some freezing floors. And trust me, it is not pleasant. Okay? So that's one thing that I definitely do not like, is the fact that you have to heat up every single room. And there's no reason to do that because, again, over here, they have the technology to be able to give everybody central heating, but they don't. And I mean, I guess they're saving money because you're heating one room instead of heating the whole house, but I mean, it'll drive you nuts if you're not used to that. It'll drive you nuts. Now, another thing is people don't think about this, is that the way the Japanese houses are set up, you've got sliding doors in a lot of places. The walls in a Japanese house are very thin, extremely thin. So, I mean, if you're there by yourself, you're cool, you're okay. But you can hear your neighbors if they're like in the adjoining room or the adjoining apartment. So, you kind of feel like, I mean, if you're in there with your girlfriend and the people next door are getting busy and the level of excitement is more than what you give out, you could be pretty embarrassed. Another thing is that I'm telling you, the walls inside the apartment are thin. So if you've got kids, there is no privacy because technically everybody can hear what everybody else is doing if they wanted to. And it's uncomfortable. I mean, sometimes you want to have a private conversation. You can have it, of course, but you have to like go and hide and go do all sorts of things in order to do that. Because, like I said, the walls are thin. You only have, most of the time, sliding doors. And these sliding doors have cracks in them. So, if you're living with a couple people and you've got a door, you got to slide it closed, and there's a crack in there, how much privacy do you think you have? If you have kids or teenage kids and there's a crack in there, which most of these places, most of these sliding doors have cracks, you're not going to get much privacy. Another thing is, usually in most Japanese apartments, you're going to have one bathroom and one bathroom alone. Now, if you're used to two bathrooms in America, like a normal house, that will definitely make you pause a little bit. I mean, you'll get used to it, of course, but having one bathroom is not really very, very efficient. I'll tell you again. Now, wait. One problem that I had with the bathroom was the location of the bathroom. Usually, I've lived in a few apartments in Japan. Usually, the bathroom is like smack in the middle of the kitchen. So, you have a bathroom, it's like right in the middle of the kitchen. So, if it's in the middle of the kitchen, you can imagine people are in the kitchen, you went into the bathroom, you didn't come out for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, everybody knows what you're doing. And then, depending on what you ate that day, all right, I don't have to go any further, you understand what I'm talking about. So, really, it's not very, very, I don't know, maybe I'm complaining too much, but hey, I'm just saying that these are things that you're going to have to deal with. You might not care. You might care. But the older you get, you're going to care. And talking about space, very few Japanese apartments are built for a proper living room. So don't think about putting a couch in there because you don't like sitting on the floor. I don't like sitting on the floor. They're made for a tatami, which means you're going to put a kotatsu down on there, which is kind of like a table that's got heat underneath it. Now, with something like that, where you're not able to sit on a couch, you got to squat, or you got to, basically sit Indian style, if you're not used to that, it's extremely uncomfortable. So, like I said, no, you can't really put a proper normal couch in these houses. Now, again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they have to build houses for me or they have to build houses for us, the foreign population here. I'm just talking to you people out there who don't understand this and might be a little surprised that you have to deal with something like that. Now, and to be honest, to be fair, I've lived with Japanese people and it doesn't bother them. So I guess it's okay because it doesn't bother the local population. But it definitely does bother me, and I know it's going to bother a couple people like you. So, you know, I've got a couple more things on the list over here. You know, you've got, like I said, you've got the living room where you're not able to put in, you know, if you want to put in a couch, you want to put a love seat, you want to put an armchair, you want to put a coffee table, forget it. It's not happening. I mean, you could get a bigger place. But again, a bigger place is not what's considered normal, so you're going to pay more money for that. So, no, you're not going to have that. Now, one thing that you might not know is that Japanese houses are not designed to entertain guests. I have almost never seen a situation, again, I've lived with Japanese people, where they have people from outside or their friends coming into their house in order to hang out. They just don't do that. Now, you will see Japanese people go to friends' houses and they're standing at the door speaking for 2 hours, 3 hours. You'll see that, but they won't get invited inside. Now, again, don't write in the comment section, oh, well, you know, I had somebody and they came inside. All right, yeah, I'm talking about what's normal. You'll see Japanese people all the time talking to their friends who are outside, and they'll be standing outside by the genkan, which is like the front door, for about 2 to 3 hours. Smiling, laughing, hee hee hee. Well, hold on a second. If you're going to stand for 2 to 3 hours, you might as well come inside. That doesn't happen very often. So they're not designed for people to have guests. And usually Japanese people are okay with that. So you might be okay with that too. So, you know, another thing is that a lot of Japanese houses have something that you call a tatami room. A tatami room is basically, I mean, it's what it is. It's a tatami. It's kind of like a straw floor. And usually they like to give you that room in there. The problem with that room is that if you get an old tatami room, okay? If you get an old tatami room and it hasn't been properly maintained, meaning you have to vacuum that thing every single day or every other day, because if you don't, you'll get lice or bed bugs in it. Now, I don't know, I mean, they call it dani over here, which is basically some type of bug that you got to basically vacuum out of there. And they have like special vacuum cleaners that they use, because you put, if you don't vacuum that tatami mat and you put a futon on there, a week later, all of a sudden you'll be itching all over. I've done it. I've been there. And then you think, okay, well, you know something, maybe something's wrong with the futon. Let me go get a different futon. All of a sudden you throw out the futon, you get a new futon, and you're good for like a couple days, and then all of a sudden, boom, the dani is, they're like biting the crap out of you again. Now, that usually does not happen in new houses with new tatamis, but it happens in houses where the tatami is old and the people haven't vacuumed. I mean, sometimes it gets so bad that people have to inject stuff in the tatami. Yes, that's right. There's like special stuff that they inject. It's kind of like a needle where you put it in there. I mean, you know, I don't know how that works, because you got to inject the whole goddamn thing. And I still saw that didn't work. So yeah, you've got that. And, again, you got the tatami room that, again, that's like high maintenance. But if you want a cheap place, and it's all tatami, then that's probably what you're going to get. But then remember, you got a lot of you got maintenance that you got to do. Now, other things that you got to worry about are, the wind. Got to wait for it, or else you can't hear me. All right, here we go. Another thing you got to worry about is, if you've lived in a place where you have a proper bed, now the futon's going to look pretty cool to you at the beginning. But let me tell you, remember that Japanese people, they hang that futon outside their balcony and beat it in order to beat whatever it is that they're beating out of it. I don't really know, but they beat it, they fluff it out, and just to make sure that that if you have some dani or some bugs in there, that the sun kills it off, and they hang it outside their balcony. Most foreigners don't do that. They don't like to do that. They think it's troublesome, and I get it. I don't like doing that either. So, and those futons, again, they are not easy to sleep on. They're hard. Now, if you're used to sleeping on hard surfaces and you like that, then you're good. But if you like a little bit of fluffiness or whatever, I mean, it might be fluffy at the beginning, but then all of a sudden, when it like flattens up, you're pretty much sleeping on the floor, unless you fluff it out again every day, every other day, or blah, blah, blah. So, again, sleeping on that futon is kind of tough. Now, you could say, okay, well, I'm going to get a bed. All right, I hear you. I've thought about that. And you kind of want to live, you want to get a bed post, you want to get that kind of, get the comforts that you had back home. Most places, I'm talking about average places. I'm not talking about stuff that's high end or, way down. Well, actually, low end might apply to this. You're not going to be able to fit a bedpost in most of these rooms. Okay? It's just not going to happen. You're not going to put a bedpost in there. You might be able to fit a mattress in there, but then that's going to take up about 80% of the room. Trust me, I know. Maybe 70. But very rarely are you going to put a mattress, like let's say a queen size mattress in there. And that's going to be like a quarter of the room. No, never. Okay? Once you put your queen size mattress in that room, that's like 80%, it's taking up 80% of the space in the room. Got more wind. So imagine that. You buy a mattress and all of a sudden it's like 80% of the room. And, again, that's normal here. And again, like I said, to be fair, Japanese people don't seem to have a problem with it. But you might have a problem with it. And I'm not saying, again, that they should make houses for us to live here. We don't make up that huge a number in this place. So that is not what I am saying. I am saying that it's tough living in a Japanese apartment. And like I said, you're going to get used to like minimal living. I mean, if you're used to if you're used to having like a proper living room, you're not going to have that here. If you're used to having like a bed post where you climb onto bed, no. You'll be laying down on your bed. You're not going to be putting your leg up to do anything. Okay? If you're used to, if you're going to live like Japanese people, and you're telling, okay, well, I'm going to get a futon. All right, get your futon. But remember, there's maintenance with that futon. And if you're going to live on the cheap and you say, oh, well, something, I'm going to get a tatami room because that's cheap. Yeah, it is cheap. But remember, if it's really old, get ready to buy that injecting agent where you got to inject stuff in there. And I mean, do you really want to live on something that you got to inject stuff into the floor. I mean, again, I don't know this, but I mean, I'd be worried about the chemicals that I'm injecting, and I'm sleeping like 2-3 inches from that. So maybe that's not something that you want to do. But hey, like I said, if you want to live here, those are the things that you gotta be prepared to do. So, I mean, again, let's see. We discussed a couple things. We discussed the size. Now, again, one thing that you're going to notice is that Japanese apartments, every single one that people are, they're showing you on TV or on YouTube, just look at it. Do you really want to live like that long term? Short term, it might work. Definitely. Short term, it might work. Long term, you probably, I don't know. I mean, when you're young and you're not thinking about anything, yeah, it's okay. I mean, you could sleep on that tatami room. I mean, you could do that. Now, I'm also not saying that you can't find better options. I'm talking about normal options. And yeah, I mean, if you want to plunk out a bunch of money, then yeah, you're probably going to be able to find something that's a little decent, but I still seriously doubt that you're going to be able to put like a living room set in there to entertain people. No, it's not going to happen. And also, I seriously doubt that you're going to be able to get a place where the walls aren't very thin. I don't think so. But again, you can get as comfortable as you can get, and if you don't spend a lot of time in your house, then it might be okay. It might be okay. It's the wind. But if you spend a lot of time at home, I mean, that Japanese house might not work for you. But hey, I mean, if you live in Japan, you got to do what you got to do. And that's just the way it is. But again, these are things that you got to think about when you come to Japan. You have to think about, how comfortable you're going to be when you get your house, when you live in a Japanese house. Is it going to be really, really comfortable because this country has high-tech things? Or are you going to be a little inconvenienced? And if, like I said again, I mean, for me, the cold was something that I really did not like. I didn't like that I had to heat up every single room because even in America, I mean, there was central heating. And therefore, when you woke up, you opened the door, you didn't get like a rush of cold air in the winter because you just came out of a hot room and now you're going into a different room that's unheated and you got to turn the air conditioner on over there. Now, whether it's efficient or not, I guess maybe yes, maybe no. Okay, I don't know. But either way, that's something that you got to deal with. Going to the bathroom in the morning when you wake up, and it's always cold in the winter. In the summer, you don't have to worry about that. I get it. But in the winter, you got to worry about that. Do you want to worry about that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess that a lot of that depends on how young you are. It depends on how young you are and what you're willing to deal with. But either way, these are some of the things that you got to think about when you're about to go into a Japanese apartment. So anyway, Chase the Traveler again. Thank you very much for joining me in this episode about the Japanese apartment. Please tune in again every 2 days. Please like and subscribe. Again, if you like my content, buy me a coffee. Buy me a coffee. I mean, it definitely helps me get more stuff out there. And there's a lot of stuff that I want to show you guys, that I want to share with you guys, that really takes a lot more effort. But again, thank you again. See you next time.